Tansei, welcome back to Métis Minute, your source for Métis news in Region 7. The PC-MNO election is well underway, and we wanted to continue to bring you some interviews with the candidates. Today, we have an interview with Region 7 Councillor candidate Greg Garratt. We sat down with Greg to discover more about his campaign and how he will best represent Region 7 citizens should he be elected. Yeah, so thanks for sitting down with me, Greg. So for citizens who maybe don't know you, I'm sure a lot of people in Region 7 do know who you are, but if there's a citizen who doesn't know who you are, maybe you want to just, explain a bit who you are, where you come from, and your current roles that you have.
Sure. My name is Greg Garratt from the verified family lines of Desolman Beausoleil, historic Drummond Island communities, migrated to Penetanguishene in 1828. I've been a resident of the area all of my life, with the exception of 8 years of military service. I'm currently the president of the Georgian Bay Métis Council for the last four and a half years. In the last 12 years as a captain of the hunt.
Perfect. Yeah. And what made you want to get into the Metis politics?
Back in the late 90s or mid 90s, once the area became aware of the historical Métis presence, and like many others, not knowing it firsthand or not even realizing we were Métis, just knowing we had Indigenous ancestors, I began to be interested in exactly what our stories were. Probably due to the military orientation, the inherent protection of rights that flows from that, to be aware of our rights and to advocate and defend them. It was a long, slow learning curve, and as I knew and understood more, it became apparent my ability to reteach and communicate became known in the community. In around 2012, I was asked to take over the role as captain of the hunt, and I accepted. And it's been a continuous growth since then. And our community has grown in awareness that people have enjoyed having access to. I'm easy to reach out. I remember probably around 2005, it was a rendezvous in LaFontaine. And I talked to the current president then of the Georgian Bay Métis Council, and I asked him, how do you get involved? And I get asked this question quite often today, and I tell them the same thing. Go to your council meetings, get involved in your council events, and participate. Knowledge of what your community is, what it means, the historical references will all flow from there. But you can't sit on a keyboard and learn about your community. You have to get up and engage with people, because there are people in real life at events that will tell you stories that they might not think to tell you when you're chatting with them online or whatever. Often that trigger of gathering together, one person starts talking, triggers a second conversation or topic from another person. Next thing you know, you're having a very robust conversation that doesn't happen with one-on-one online.
Yeah, and how was your time as captain of the hunt? You've, like you said, held that role for a while, and being president of Georgian Bay prepared you for Region 7 councillor that you're currently running for.
Both have been complementary roles. One has supported the other. Not only has firsthand experience been a benefit, but the ability to build relationships and navigate political issues has come hand in hand with previous related experience in my life, such as being a business owner, being in the military, different community levels of community involvement. I don't believe any other candidate has the experience in such a variety of fields than what I have accumulated over 40 plus years of community activism. And this is extended, to one of those roles as captain of the hunt and advocating for harvesters that get charged. In my 12 years, there's not been a successful M&R charge laid against our harvesters. And that in part is because of the way I engage with people. I have conversations, and I have lots of them. So, and it's not conversation I have at election time, it's conversations I have all the time. I've had them for 12 years or longer. I've been more engaged in the last 4 than ever before, because that other role as the president of the Georgian Bay Métis Council has given me a greater opportunity. I host a citizenship and harvester workshops to help people fill out their applications. We've advocated for it at the council level. So, having heard all the information out there and people coming to me and saying, this isn't right or that isn't good, or has given me the opportunity to bring innovative solutions into things and get issues resolved.
Yeah, and speaking of your time with citizens, and you're a citizen of Region 7 yourself as well. So what do you see as some of the big issues that maybe your citizens are coming to you with for the MNO, for like Region 7?
Our continued growing population and its impacts on everything from education to program needs. 5 years ago, when I started as the president, I believe we had about 2,200 to 2,500 citizens. COVID supports, having to operate from home and engage with citizens. And some of those program deliverables were around, they had to have a citizenship card to access them. In 18 months, we added over 1,000 people to our roles. And now we're almost at 5,000 just in the Georgian Bay Métis Council catchment area. So we've more than doubled our size in 5 years. And that's an issue on everything, to make sure that those supports are there, proportional for the population. And Region 7 is the first stop for all other regions. Whatever government or proponents get passed by us will set the stage for every rights-bearing community north of us in the future. So if there's a right or an issue and we aren't getting a solution for it, or we're getting denied it, and the proponent or the government wins in Region 7, they will take those arguments to the fight in the other regions. So it's very important that we stop that. And I have experience over the last 12 years being a voice for finding unique solutions.
Yeah, and one of the issues that was brought up at the all candidates meeting as well was the boundary changes that have been happening for Region 7. How are you going to make sure that citizens who wish to engage with their councils, and maybe their council has changed, receive access to services, to resources, and things like that if you become Region 7 councillor?
I really like that question. I was worried about running out of time yesterday to answer it. Some of the things I wasn't able to do yesterday, I can finish off today. The most recent boundary change was the creation of the Barrie Council approximately 5 years ago. The complete review of our council boundaries and regional boundaries are a concern for me. But before we can sit and talk about redrawing the existing council boundaries, we must first get MNO supports in the way of GIS mapping and registry information on citizens not connected to any council. They're completely left out. I would rather get the citizens in our region that are outside catchment areas brought in before I look at just changing boundaries between existing councils already. I just think it's atrocious that in this day and age, after 30 years, we still have citizens that can't access the council's support. Now, with the technology of GIS boundarying and boundary mapping, we can tell exactly where our boundaries are. We can tell how many citizens through the registry that are in that area, and we can work on that. But as I said yesterday, the process is, each council would have to agree to the change and put a motion through for their council, which would then have to be passed at a General Assembly, annual general meeting, and then be approved at the PCMNO level. With 4 councils, 4 budding boundaries, and at least 4 different corners of our region that have citizens not covered by anything, this is going to take 10 years to get done based on the way we've been moving. If we have to do this, I think we should be sitting down and having the conversation first and foremost, looking at it holistically, and then, or at the same time, reaching out to all citizens, not just the ones that are out of the area, but to make sure that the ones that will be impacted by changes between 2 council catchment areas are happy with that. We know firsthand that there are people that live in Aurelia that would like to deal with Barrie because it's 20 minutes away for them versus 45 minutes to Midland. We also have people in the Barrie catchment area that would love to be part of ours again, because we do so much more events and workshops and stuff that they can't access because they're not part of ours. So we really need to know what the citizens want before we go out and unilaterally make changes based on what we think, is going to work. And again, re-emphasizing, we have to get those citizens in that have no supports right now at all before we do anything between the boundaries of the existing catchment areas, or at the same time. Um,
Yeah.
Services currently offered are through M&O program staff, and what the councils do have limited resources to engage over a large geography. And this is kind of getting into access to resources if their council is moved a distance from them, etc. And right now, when we do an event, we've either did a grant writing, which has specific criteria around it as to who and what we can use it for. Maybe we need to sit down as a region and write more regional grants so we can do more workshops. One of the suggestions was to do a day of workshops in a large hall
Hmm.
and do a couple of them. So, one in Midland, maybe rent a hall, do a bunch of workshops in there, or a weekend of workshops, and then later on bring that same process to Aurelia for the citizens there and to Collingwood with Sega Beach for the citizens there. But we need the capacity for that. And what we have right now is what we have from proponents, which is minimal, and what we can find grants for, which we're not always successful on.
Yeah, perfect. And yeah, as we move forward with maybe Bill C-53, maybe self-government might be the answer to that as well. But yeah, as we move towards self-government and having Bill C-53 move farther into Parliament, how will you make sure that citizens are made more knowledgeable about self-government? And do you think it's important that citizens become more involved in the process?
Absolutely. If citizens have any complaints about the way the MNO is running or any ideas on how to make it better, they need to be engaged, because those that do engage will be how the leadership determines what the community wants. Um, I've been involved in the process at least for the last 4 years as a sitting member of the implementation team. The implementation team is generally made up of the consultation committee, which I've sat on for 12 years. So just about anything that's come through self-government in one form or another, I've been at the seat. I've got the real experience for it. And I'm already versed in the path forward. And it's not something at this point in time with Bill C-53 on the cusp of being passed, it's not something we want to lose and have to start over with. You don't really want new faces in there that haven't been at the table already and have the experience.
Yeah, and as we get more citizens involved in self-government, an important part of that is having them vote in this PCMNO election. So why do you think it's important for people to participate in this election and go out and vote?
Well, first, I'd like to thank you for doing these podcasts. I think for a certain select um, demographic of our citizenship, it works for them. We need to embrace multiple levels of communication, and this is certainly an excellent one. Um, we don't have elders so much that may be on it, but from the tech era down, basically anybody in the last 30, 40 years is comfortable with them. And so it's a level of outreach we really didn't have before. So again, thanks for that. There are a lot of good ideas. Many have come forth through the commission hearings about 7 years ago. They were well documented. There's an executive report on the MNO's website as to what the people asked for. We need to keep the focus on the people. We need to remember what they asked for, make sure it's still what they want, and we need to continue that engagement and ensure as many voices can be heard as possible. That starts with voting for a candidate that has always been there and is willing to engage. Something I believe I have a great track record on. And, we can move forward from there. But if you can get out and vote, then you're probably one of those persons who wants to be engaged going forward as well. And that needs to be said. I think Roxanne said it very well yesterday. To get out and vote, get out and vote, get out and vote. Because it's going to show the MNO clearly that they have an engaged citizenship.
Perfect. And of course, voting is open. So unless you had any last words for voters.
And not everybody is going to vote for the candidate that asked them to. Some of them have already pre-selected based on platforms who they want to vote for. But don't not exercise your right to vote. It's like silencing your voice. Uh, numbers mean everything. Doesn't matter who wins at this level. I do believe, honestly believe that we're going to have a better voice at the table than before. And I look forward to seeing who the successful candidate is and keeping engaged with them afterwards. Um, you know, there are 4 people running for this position, and I hope that the 3 that are not successful stay fully engaged in this process and support the candidate that does win, because they're going to need a team. It's not going to be one person show. Oh, I'm at the PCMNO and I'm the only voice. No, you need to put a team together, and you already have 3 people very vested and interested in engaging with citizens. You need to utilize that.
If you're unsure of how to vote in this PC-MNO election, please check out a previous Métis Minute episode that we did that shows you all the ways which you can cast your vote. Merci for watching, and we'll see you down the river.